Hey, welcome to a foreigner in the Philippines. Well, I thought I'd done enough videos, but Beth insists that I do this one particular video because the question keeps coming up and it's one that gets people in trouble a lot. And actually, depending on how you handle it, it can make or break the relationship that you are, as a foreigner, putting so many hopes in. Now, if you come out here and the question is, are you obliged, as a foreigner, are you obliged to support your Filipina, okay, before you ever get out here, and sometimes before you ever have even met her? Now, we know good friends who have been supporting the family of his Filipina, who he has yet to meet, and he's been supporting her for several years and has taken it upon himself to help with the education of younger sisters and pay for medical expenses and stuff like that. Now, are you obliged to do that? The question is, do you want to do that? Is that what you want to do? Are you the type that I mentioned in one of the other videos that I've made just in the last this evening, and I talked about how we broke down and Beth just got out of the truck. We needed oil for the truck. They didn't have it at the little sari-sari store that we had stopped at, so she just stepped into the road, stopped a young boy on a motorcycle and said, "Can you go and get us some oil?" Certainly. She handed him for him a large sum of money, and off he went. And I said, you gave him the money? Yes, he'll come back. And he came back. Things are different here. Now, on many occasions I've been stood there in the hardware store, and a tap on my shoulder has come, and when I've turned around, there's been a man standing there with 500 pesos, which he said, "You dropped this out of your pocket." Now, I've had so many of those situations, stopping and buying fruit, and I was taken around by someone that we first met when we came to Bohol, and he was in fear of being ripped off everywhere he went. Why? And he took me around and said, "Now this person, this is where you get your fruit, because she knows me and she won't rip you off." And I began thinking that getting ripped off was everything that you can expect, and it really isn't that way. In fact, I think that it's a little bit like if you come from the UK, or even if you come from America. If you used to get the bus anywhere, at the front of the bus it would say where it's going, and here you go and you look at the buses and it tells you where it's going, and so you know where the bus is going to take you. And it's almost as if when we walk around, we've got one of those little windows in our forehead, and it tells what we expect, tells where we've come from. Have we come from being ripped off? Have we come from expecting that we can trust people? It depends on whether you have a war coming behind you or whether you look as if you're having a good time. I went around and I bought some bananas outside Alturas, and it's a little woman and she's selling bananas, and I bought some bananas and I handed her 100 peso note, and it was, I think, 95 pesos. So do you have do you have no, I don't have any change. I said, it doesn't matter. No. I picked my bunch of bananas and said, this is the bunch I want, and it came to 95 pesos. No, that wasn't good enough. No, she couldn't take my money. No. And she picked off another banana and handed it to me. I find that people are incredibly nice. I know that I've wandered off again, but we went round to the mayor's office today, and we were trying to get some papers signed. And when I went in, I'm just standing there, and there were a lot of men, working men, who were there waiting as a group to see the mayor. And as soon as I walked in, all of the chairs are taken. Another man said, "Sir, please sit down here." And the man next to him got off his seat and said to Beth, "Please, ma'am." I don't expect a man to offer me his seat, but they do. When we went to another government office very recently, and I'm standing there because Beth has stayed outside and I'm going to have my photograph taken and stuff, and I'm standing there, and the woman that's sitting on two long benches, she moves over, and then so I look down, and she goes as if to say, "Sit here." So I sit there. I mean, she's told me where I need to sit. I'm grateful. I sit down, and then the bench in front, everybody moves along. So then a man that's standing there that could have sat in that seat taps me on the shoulder, and he points to the seat. He says, "You sit there." I just find that people are so incredibly nice. So when you, as a foreigner, are trying to work out whether being asked for money is okay, I guess it really depends on how you have been treated. Now, when I first came out here, I was ripped off a couple of times. But it didn't sour my entire way of looking at things. I still believe that people mainly are just very trustworthy and very nice, and probably because I think that way, that's what happens. I'm a firm believer in that, how you are thinking. If you get in your car and you are in a filthy mood, you know, there's no point in having an altercation and then coming home and saying, "Man, the guy he just made me mad." Well, no, he didn't make you mad. Whatever he did, whoever did anything, they didn't make you mad. You were already mad. Okay? And if you look at that and then reverse it, nobody made you nice. Everybody saw that you were being nice and expected that, and they would be exactly that. And that's how I find it. You know, that people just help. Here, they just help. So, how do you judge whether the Filipina is worthy or honest enough for you to actually pay for something? Well, for one thing, if you're pinning your hopes on a great relationship with quite possibly, usually with a lovely Filipina, unless you've been ripped off so many times and so cruelly that you don't trust anybody, then you're going to have a hard time wherever you go and whoever you are with. and even if you finally come out here and you marry the woman and you are, or you're living with her, if you have been so brutalized that there's no trust left in you, you won't have anything to trust. You got to get that healing done before you come over, and before you try to hook up with a woman, someone who's going to love you and take care of you. When I say take care of you, I'm not talking about being a caregiver. I mean love you and care about you. So it really depends. No one expects anyone else to do what they would do. And if you had a dozen foreigners sitting around having coffee and talking, you would find that each one had a different story to tell. Some will have a story that says they've made a house for the woman, and then the next thing she changed the locks and called the police, and the police arrived wondering why the guy was trying to get into the house, and say, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?" "Well, I'm trying to get into my house." Your house? But the owner called us to say that you were trying to get into her house. Well, it's my house. Can't be good. Can't be a good ending, can it? So you'll have that, and then you'll have like our friend who loves this woman with all her heart, knows her family, knows her younger sister who he's helping through college. You could not shake him. You could not shake him. And if you did manage to find a little chink in his armour, he would say, "It's okay. When we meet, if she doesn't want me, I won't be heartbroken. I'm happy with what I did. I did what I thought was right. I know that I helped someone. You can't destroy him. He is bulletproof." And, as he said, it may or may not work out when he gets here, but however life unfolds, he will continue to be the person he is. And maybe that's what you should be looking at. Are you the person you say you are? This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Don't forget to you can always get in touch with me any time. You can always send me a message on Messenger, or you can send me an email. But you can communicate to me despite the fact that YouTube have disabled our comments at the moment. It's not me, it's not Beth, YouTube. And for a reason, I guess. Bye for now.